Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Chemical Combat, the roguelike I developed for Blackthorn Prod's 5th game dev competition. If you haven't seen the video or the first devlog, I'd advise checking them out first, but anyway, week 2. Equally stressful and equally productive, mostly because the twist I received ended up sparking so many new ideas. My original plan going into week 2 was to make the game into more of a dungeon crawler by implementing procedural generation, which is what I spent most of the week doing. I don't want to talk too much about tree structures and other boring codes, but I'll give an overview of how I generate the dungeons using binary space partitioning. Basically, we'll start with a room of some arbitrary size and pick the longer side. The box is then cut along a line drawn at some random point between two percentages, say 25% on each side, so as to keep everything roughly even. For each of these new boxes, we then recursively run the same algorithm until the desired depth has been reached. With the space subdivided, step 1 is now complete, but it needs to be turned into a proper map. How we can do this is by looping over each of the smallest subdivisions, and as long as the current room meets a certain size requirement, generating a smaller rectangle somewhere within the bounds. This is then very easy to convert to tiles. The only difficult part is connecting the rooms, but thankfully the binary tree makes this much easier. Since each box can be split in two, we can start at the second smallest layer, which should contain 2 rooms. If one room is missing, then just ignore it, but supposing it does, connect them. For the next layer up, we need to determine whether to connect section A to A or B to B, but this can be done with a simple 1D distance check. This process is then repeated all the way up to the top layer, finding the shortest possible connection between both halves, and surprisingly, that's it. Now just draw a horizontal or vertical corridor halfway between the centers of both rooms, and that should work most of the time. With the rooms correctly generating, I also decided to redo the starting area as I had changed pretty much the entire concept due to the twist. I was told on the second day that I would have to incorporate something from Chip Micro's game Moondrop Miners. What this inspired me to do was to make a kind of mining system where the elements are now a limited resource and would be expended upon shooting. This would mean that you'd need to spend money on fuel for drills, so rather than aimlessly killing stuff, you'd have to work your way through a dungeon collecting coins from killing enemies, which could then be spent on various player upgrades and on the aforementioned drills. With that plan in mind, I drew up a kind of quarry with animated drills to go on the left of spawn, and rushed a pretty terrible UI to go with it. Unfortunately, I didn't really have time to properly implement it, so it's kind of just there, but anyway, the second major addition based on the judges' feedback was that of target dummies so that you could experiment with various reactions without entering the dungeon. The physics for them was quite difficult but entertaining, and I managed to get them working after a few minor tweaks. While in the process of improving the map, I also added proper lighting to the rooms, which gave everything so much more depth and atmosphere. And so with the new environment basically complete, I went and added a minimap so that it was easier to navigate the dungeon. Actually drawing it was easy, but getting it positioned correctly took forever and a day. Next I got the coins implemented when you kill enemies. Making the animation where they go flying into the air was surprisingly easy, but looks really satisfying. I then made these simple stat upgrades to spend them on, with each of these differently coloured glass chambers corresponding to max health, bullet damage, move speed, fire rate, and drilling fuel consumption respectively, and no, I didn't balance them or check the prices at all, I just typed random numbers, so good luck. By this point there wasn't long left, mainly because the procedural generation took a good 2 and a bit days, so I decided that I should maybe implement some more of the judges' feedback. I was able to create 2 more enemy types, a skeleton and a ghost, although they were really just carbon copies of the zombie with a bit more health, so needless to say, I didn't win the competition. Upon playing the others' games, I had honestly thought that they were much more polished and fun, so I can't really blame the judges. Regardless, I wasn't deterred and have been working on the game ever since. I'll talk more about my recent changes in the coming episodes, but since it's kind of on topic for now, I may as well mention the incredible algorithm I devised to generate furniture in the rooms. Basically, I have here this one unreadable 200 line long function that goes from left to right across the room and places stuff completely at random, just hoping that it doesn't bug out and clip inside the wall. Okay, it's not completely random, and does use some special weightings based on position, but that's the gist of it. I then also have predefined collections of furniture which can be placed in the middle of rooms, with the size of the room determining how many of them to place. So that concluded my competitive journey with Chemical Combat, but if you've checked the Steam page, you'd have noticed that the game looks completely different now. That's because everything has changed quite a lot since then, namely with the combat, but that'll have to wait till next time. That's everything for now, so I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.